Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Terran News Network, your most trusted source in news in the Terran Republic. Our first story today is the sad announcement of the destruction of the exploration ship TRSS Abel Tasman. The Abel Tasman was lost in the Pi Libre system when it was unjustly fired upon by surface-to-orbit weapons while surveying Pi Libre 1. In response to this action, current President Satisha Erickson has announced that current plans are to attempt to establish a diplomatic dialogue with this new species to discover why they fired on an unarmed science vessel. In addition, due to pressure from members of the militarist party, President Satisha Erickson has also announced that if diplomatic attempts fail, invasion plans are already being drawn up. In related news, the Navy has announced that plans for minor refits of all military vessels have begun, and once completed and authorized, the refits are expected to begin quickly. That is all for this special news report from Terran News Network, voted the most trusted source in news in the Terran Republic. If we're not talking about it, it's not important. Until next time. Hello everybody, and welcome back to Let's Play Aurora 4X C# 2.1. So, last time we lost our first ship to combat. It was an exploration ship, so, it was going to die to combat more than likely anyway. Unless it had an opportunity to run away, and in this case it did not, because it did not detect that it was being shot at until it was far too late. Or rather that, it had encountered something until it was far too late to react, and thus I wasn't able to issue an order for them to get the hell out of Dodge, like I have in the past. So, if I pull this back up, I am recording this and the last part back to back. We lost... Where are you? Oops, I'm looking in the wrong section. It's down here, here. We lost Lieutenant Commander Juliana Ignacio, commander of the TRSS Abel Tasman, the ship of the class for our current crop of exploration vessels. They were embracing of change, adventurous, highly educated, tolerant, 34 and in poor health. Definitely in poor health now. With a fairly decent promotion score, I guess, of, over 1,000, almost 1,100. Not much in the way of medals. Only the 10 years of service. They haven't done too much. Really? Only 10 years of service? Really? That doesn't seem right. That definitely does not seem right. Sorry, I need to double check this if we still have the event for it. And we don't, which I'm not surprised by. Damn. Yeah, that doesn't quite seem right that you only had 10 years of service. You're the only one who's died. I'm like 99% certain of that, because everybody else here is an honorable discharge or discharge because of health reasons or whatever the case may be. And that's the first time we've had actual combat of any sort. The only other ship to experience combat was the captain of the second exploration ship, whatever its name is, it's escaping me right now. The Abu Abdullah Muhammad ibn Batut. And I'm pretty sure we wouldn't have had a... Oh no, never mind. It was Ben Hungate here, actually. That would make more sense. How the hell did the other guy die in combat, though? Because I'm pretty sure the Abel Tasman never encountered... I'm like 99% certain that the Abel Tasman had never been in any sort of naval combat previously, but apparently it had been. Because somebody was killed in combat, which makes no sense. I I got no freaking clue. But no, I was incorrect last time. Ben Hungate was actually the one who died in command of it because he died when the life pod ran out of life support. Which he makes a bit more sense. Although still not really. I don't know how the hell 10 years of service only. Unless it only starts counting that when you've been placed in charge of something, which doesn't seem the case because you got the medal before you were assigned as the commanding officer. I got no freaking clue. Let me go ahead and start my timer because we've been talking for 4 minutes and I haven't even had my timer going. But yeah, I got no idea how the hell that works, but we'll ignore that, I think, for now. We're going to go ahead and look into designing a new one. Where are our sensors? Here they are. Damn it, game, I really wish you would not move stuff around like that. For whatever reason, you do that sometimes, and it's annoying. It really is. Let's... it's not really worth it, but just for the sake of seeing what the design would look like, we're not actually going to use it. If I were to design you an engine of basically the exact same type, the only difference being... You know, the only difference being that it is a newer engine type. What would that look like? Well, it would be an extra 2,000 engine power. Of course, if I wanted to keep you roughly the same, I could drop this down and be significantly more fuel efficient. Or I can just make the engine smaller, which I think is what I'm more inclined to do. And it's still more fuel efficient. So, same power, but smaller, more fuel efficient. You know, it's an extra 1,000 tons, and we got 4 of these engines, so that's 4,000 free tons. I could literally give you a 5th engine if I wanted to. So I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to look into seeing how that looks. You're still faster. And that's without me giving you a 5th engine, getting you to 5,000. Actually, now that I think about it, depending upon the difference in dates, you died in September. You died in August. You might have actually been the... you were assigned as a science officer. Okay, there we go. I forgot that this thing had a science department on it. So, yes, okay. So, Ben died as the CO, but Juliana here was the science officer. Okay, there we go. Sorted out that mystery. Not that it was important, but we still sorted it out. Give you an improved damage control. Because why not? And you're a bit smaller, so the question is, what do I do with the extra capacity? Well, apparently this engine... Oh, well, it's actually because I gave you a 5th engine. If I don't give you a 5th engine, how is your fuel efficiency? You have... What is that? An extra, like, 50 days? Give or take? It's not too bad. Let's go ahead and give you the extra engine, and then we will give you extra fuel. No, actually, a very large is way too big. And another large is too big. So smalls, or excuse me, not smalls, regulars. and then a small, tiny, couple of fighters. You technically got a little bit less range, but you have an extra 1,000 kilometers a second of speed. And, you know, better sensors for scanning stuff. So I'll rename this. This is a nice, simple, easy. Technically it's a military vessel, but let's be real here. As far as anybody's concerned, it's more of a civilian thing, technically. So we're going to have it follow the civilian naming convention. But like I said, things like the Akagi, they're not going to follow that naming convention. Now, I'm not going to necessarily actually research this engine. It was mostly just to see what it would look like. We are, relatively speaking, close to getting the Magneto plasma drive. We'll have that in June, so not much of a reason to be designing new engines. Wonderful, you've completed those orders. Go through and stabilize the other side. This guy finished his orders. I need you to add an extra 5,000 if we're going to be doing the diplomacy ship out of you. Still have unrest as a result of overcrowding on Mars. The civilian ships haven't done a particularly great job of dealing with that. I'm going to have you add an extra slipway. Out of curiosity, have you guys even bothered queuing up for that? No, you haven't. You are currently prioritizing the mines. Okay, very well then. I'm just going to go ahead and cancel the infrastructure, I guess, and we'll do it ourselves. I really didn't want to do it because it's annoying. But our civilian industry is not quite built up nearly as significantly as I would like by this point. So, cargo group, Earth, load up on infrastructure, unload on Mars, repeat that 3 times, then refuel and resupply at Earth. What do you mean you failed? You guys don't have that much fucking cargo space. The hell do you mean you failed? Wait, are you guys carrying a bunch of shit already? You are. You apparently did not unload last time. Cancel, go to Mars, just unload. Last time I gave them orders, it was, incorrectly handled. Now, load up, go to Mars, unload all, repeat 3 times. Where's Mars at? They have max of about 8 million people. Not quite good enough. 96 Leonis. You have 50% fuel. Go ahead and continue your exploration. Standing orders, I'm going to switch that to fuel less than 40% going forward, because I think you're getting a little far out there now. Yeah. You're going to have a bit of a harder time getting back Okay, you finished. So, Saiseti Tug Fleet. Go through, grab you. Tractor any Bernard Star. Release here. Also, I'm going to go ahead and just, I think, move the Tug Fleet into Jump Command for the first one. Rename you guys. First Tug Fleet. We're going to go ahead and build, well, not right now, but we will in the future end up building a separate Tug Fleet. To take care of that. How are you guys doing? You got plenty of fuel. Just go ahead and refuel anyway, because why not? Literally no reason for you not to go ahead and just refuel anyway. Orders completed. Wonderful. You. Stabilize that. Then it's Epsilon Arendi. We just had a change in dominant terrain. Where was that? Mars has changed from barren to tundra. Wonderful. And there's our new engines. So let's go ahead and redesign the engines for the new exploration ship. And do what I did last time. Go. Yep. And then upgrade again. Best way to get you down to 800. There we go. And again, significantly smaller, although not very fuel efficient. It should be noted. They really aren't. Yeah, the magnetoplasma drive is not a particularly efficient engine. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go like this. What is the size of the other one? It was 4,000, right? So we're going to just stick with that, and then we'll just make it drop the engine power for fuel efficiency. You'll still be a little bit faster, but significantly more fuel efficient, which means less fuel needed. So this is going to be Reynoso Engines Limited. Remove all 5 of these. Swap them out for the new Reynosos. They're a bit lighter for some reason. I'm not sure why. They shouldn't be. They're the same 4,000 tons, but for some reason, the actual tonnage is lower. And I don't know why. Okay, game, sure, because that's logical. That somehow 4,000 tons is not 4,000 tons. You know what? You do you, game. You do you. If you think that makes any sense, be my guest. I think it makes 0 sense. But that's just me. And what do I know? Can I slap some extra sensors on you to make up? Yes, I can. I can then remove fuel tanks. to get you back down to size. That's a little over. There we go. And still more fuel, which is always helpful. And still faster by 1,200 kilometers a second. Diplomatic ship. Redo you. What is your engine? Your engine is 5,000. Swap over to this. Here. That would be the engine in question. Switch the magneto. And how close can I get to 625? I think we'll go with this. Bit smaller. Not quite as fuel efficient. I actually gave a crap about the fuel efficiency. What could I get? 40% engine power and same size engine. And it's actually a little bit faster still. Prototype that. And let's try that for you. Yeah, I think I like that, but need to significantly redo the amount of fuel because you don't need 2,600 days of fuel. You really don't. Yes, I think that works fine. You will have a little over 1,000 days of fuel. Well, actually, fuel is probably the easiest thing for me to use to get you up to an even number, so not quite right. Let's aim for 24,000, so you're actually a little bit lighter than you would have been with the old engine. There we go. So 5,333 kilometers a second. A little over 1,600 days of fuel at full power. And I think I like that. That's how we're going to do it. So first up, let's go and research the engine for the diplomacy ship. Some mineral just got exhausted on Sol. What was it? Galsite. Earth is now officially out of Galsite. Luckily, I don't think Galsite is used for too many buildings. It's mostly a case of it's just used for missiles. Which is great. Because that means we can easily just stockpile ludicrous amounts of it until we need it. Yeah, it's not used for any buildings. It's solely used for fighters and ordnance, it looks like. And, our ships as well. I think it's basically an engine thing, I believe. That would make sense, because our engines cost Galsite, correct? Yes. Yeah, Galsite's an engine thing. Where are you guys going? Don't know what those guys are doing. And I'm not allowed to see what your movement orders are, because that would make too much sense, apparently. F518, what are you doing? I know that game. I'm not trying to change the orders. I just want to know what the hell they're doing. You were unloading mines at Sai-Seti. Wonderful. Thank you, game. You don't need to give me a bunch of pop-ups just because I click on a civilian ship. I'm not trying to change the orders, game. I'm just trying to see what they're doing. That's helpful information to me, to be able to know what the hell my AI is doing. Both of our engines now being researched. It might not be the worst idea to get a refit going on the Akagi's. Now that we have, what is it, 2 new engine techs? Well, 2 new generations of engine techs. So I think that's what we're going to end up doing. But not right this second. But not right this second. I was lying. Rename you. This is going to be the Akagi 2111. Speaking of 2111, that means we need to run an election. Let's go and update the armor. These are not particularly great engines. We have ludicrous numbers of them. So I'm going to say I want a 40,000. Military. How much? You guys have 85 billion kilometers of fuel. I want a minimum of 2 engines when it comes to military vessels. I consider that important. So this is basically telling me roughly what I should be looking for when it comes to designing our engine. Well, rather building a ship that meets these requirements. Of course, it doesn't take into account everything. I can't tell that, hey, I want the ECMs, I want X amount of hangar bays, yada, yada, yada. So we're going to have to probably rejig the numbers it gives us to an extent, but at least gives us a basic platform to work from. So we want a size 100 engine, according to this. We want a optimal boost of 1.25, so 125%. We will give it the thermal reduction, since this is a military thing, and I want to potentially try to hide our ships. As a general rule of thumb, your thermal and EM sensors will often have better range than your active sensors. Which, makes sense. You want to pick something up passively first, because you don't want to have your active sensors on. That makes you easier to pick up with EM. So you want your passives to have lots of range to be able to pick stuff up before it actually enters the range of any active sensors that you would enable. Or rather, that you would turn on. I just had it rejig the numbers just to make sure that those are still correct. After I, corrected that, hey, no, I want 5 layers of armor. Okay. So, in theory, 2 of these is more than sufficient to get a desired speed of 5,000 kilometers a second. Let's see if that's true. That is true. It actually gets us to about 6,000. And we still have a bit of wiggle room here. The big thing, however, is that I need to completely redo the fuel. This recommends an ultra large for standards, small, a tiny, and a fighter. It's 196 days. It's not bad. It's not bad. But we could do better. We could do better. Because that is technically correct. It is 85 billion. It's actually over. 85 billion kilometers of range. Actually, those numbers do not work. 1 ultra large, 4 standards, a small, 3 fighters. That would explain why I'm like, those numbers don't work. Because this was showing 5,216,000 liters instead of the 5,218,000 that it now shows, because I forgot a couple of the fighter ones. We're going to go ahead and slap another. Nope, not an ultra large, a very large. And another one. And another. For whatever reason, when it comes to military vessels, I like to have basically a year's worth of fuel at full power. Are they ever going to actually need that? Hell no. They do not have a reason to use that much fuel. But it doesn't hurt. In my opinion, at least. So 380 days, 5,000 kilometers speed, same size as the old Akagi. So you have better efficiency when it comes to armor. Now here's our thing. Our maintenance life tanked as a result of this. I do not have nearly enough maintenance on this. So we're going to have to check that out. What can I do to get you to the necessary value? I think we're going to have a general issue with that. How much should I have before? 1.31 years. There we go. Also, you have an IFR that is really freaking high. That could cause issues. But first things first, and no, God, no, you need that ultra large, otherwise your value goes down way too much. Get rid of the very large, get rid of a large, standard rather. There we go. It's actually less fuel efficient, it really is. That's not gonna cut it, game. Really is not gonna cut it, that is way too... So redo these values again. And the thing you changed was not the thing that I wanted you to change. Yeah. Okie dokie. Yeah, that doesn't quite work. Also, I think your issue is your numbers are way the fuck off. Oh no. No, they work, I guess, technically. I'm gonna say, you know what, give me 5 engines. Screw it, 6. Give me 6 engines by default. See what our values look like if I do that. Prototype this. Six engines, much more fuel efficient. Obviously, though, they take up more space. But they are much easier to maintain, so I don't need nearly as many maintenance storage. Which helps quite a bit. We still have a really high IFR from my likings, but I can't really adjust that unless I make the ship bigger, which I don't really want to do. 2 larges, 3 standards, and a small. You know what? I'll live with a speed of 4,000. That would still be a decent uplift over the current Akagi's. As I noted, this is something that will happen with this game, is that you can spend a lot of time just fiddling with this, trying to get your values, which is one of the reasons why a tool like this is helpful. Because I'm not needing to fiddle with it nearly as much, relatively speaking. Is that right? Looks right. Six of those. 3 very larges, 2 larges, 4 standards, and a fighter is what you recommend. Again, I can remove some of these large maintenance bays so that I can fit more fuel capacity. And now I can sort of try to balance adding an additional engine and adding fuel. Although I don't think we can really do that too much. Here we go. Move one of those. Small, 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 tiny fighter. There we go. Basically doubling your time that you can spend outside, and at least when it comes to a fuel perspective. This is definitely not a final design. I will probably attempt to get that IFR back down a little bit more, now that I have a bit more wiggle room. Which I can get that down by adding, engineering spaces. That's what affects these numbers, the IFR and AFR. I do not recall what they stand for. I believe IFR is like incident failure rate or something like that. So basically the chance of an incident occurring. And AFR, I don't know what that is off the top of my head. In the future, however, I think ship designs like that I'm generally going to do off screen because, yeah, we, basically spent probably like a good 5-10 minutes just doing that. Oh, I didn't realize. Did I finish researching something and I just completely forgot to do something about it? Yes, I did. Okay, that would explain that. It's my bad entirely. Let's go ahead and, let's start researching the better electronic countermeasures and whatnot. Why not? Don't really have anything better to research right now. Oh, you went here to refuel. That is kind of annoying, actually. I need you to go to Seoul. Go to Earth. Refuel and resupply to make sure you're fully topped up. Pull this back out. And I want you auto route to 1-1 Akiri. Go through the jump point there. Factory got restored. What was it? This time it was an ordnance factory. We'll be transporting basically all of that stuff to Earth at some point. I can't bother to do it right now. Slipway added. Wonderful. Okay, and I'm not making any more changes to this, correct? This is set in stone? Yes. Okay, wonderful. Retool you to the diplomacy, or the Carl Gustav Emil Mannerheim. And I want you to build one. Just the one, for now. And I need to build a fleet here for just unassigned ships. Just to make my life a bit easier. I can dump all my ships there, basically, and then move them where I actually want them after the fact. So construction, unassigned ships. We shouldn't have any components. This is basically entire. Well, actually, we literally don't have any components because I haven't scrapped any of our stuff. So there's no way in hell we'd have any, and I'm not building any individual components right now, although I probably should for the sensors because we're not going to be changing those anytime soon, I don't think. Just build the one for now. No reason to have multiple right this second. Okay, you finished your orders. Wonderful. Tug fleet move through, grab this guy. And release him at the Epsilon Arendi one. Slowly building out our jump gate system. But we're getting there. We are ever so slowly getting there. When is this expected to finish? Sometime in March of next year, presumably. Because it's already March right now. And also, technically, we should have had an election. Let's pull this up. We still have ruins available. Sarsha is the current ruler. Or excuse me, Satisha. God damn, I screw up her name so often for some reason. I don't know why. Correct our numbers here for population. Again, we will say we were attacked. We have technically had first contact. You know, not diplomatic first contact. And I know the thing technically says to only roll 3 times, then if you don't succeed to click on the electoral fraud one, I can't bother to do that, to be honest. Satisha, surprise, surprise, wins re-election. Again, I think that's a case of more well-rounded appeal compared to Oliver. Now I need to also go ahead and rename basically all these guys next time around. So we'll deal with that. Also, let's go ahead and hold a vote here for diplomacy. And passes, unsurprisingly. When 601 of the people in your Senate are pacifists, 994... Yeah, no, there's no way in hell we were going to actually have to worry about that not passing. That was guaranteed to pass. And again, that's purely for, role-playing purposes. Okay, wonderful. You found yet another jump point. Keep doing your thing. I really do find that the pausing for discover jump point to be slightly annoying. Because it's like, okay, great. I really don't need you pausing on that because it's not that helpful. This theoretically could. EQ Pegasi B3 could theoretically hold a planet or an NPR. Probably doesn't, though. It's a little too small, I think, for max population. But in theory, it could. We're going to need to build more tug fleets, as I've noted in the past, as well as probably more jump stabilization stations, just so we can get this stuff done a little bit more evenly spread out across our empire. Let's go for, I think, construction rate. Or no, fighter. Let's get the fighter capacity up further. Also, I should look into designing new fighters as well. Mostly just the engine for them. The other stuff on them doesn't need to change, but the fighter, or the engine definitely, I think, needs to be upgraded now. Wonderful, you already finished that. Damn, that was fast. Tug fleet. Go through. Grab, you. Tractor any. Release there. Now, we're not going to stabilize on the other side. We are going in with with the knowledge, for lack of a better way to describe it, that that diplomacy ship is either going to succeed or it is not coming back home, basically. So it is potentially a one-way trip for them if they just outright fail miserably. So hopefully for them, they don't. Because otherwise they're going to be stuck waiting there for a long, long time to ever potentially get back home. Let's go ahead and get minimum engine power. Why not? Electronic countermeasure. Done. Wonderful. Go ahead and get power plant boost. What does it take to build a research lab out of curiosity? Nothing that is an Alpha Centauri. Okay, wonderful. So if I wanted to build some of those and transport them over there, yeah, it's just not worth it. It's easier to just take the one that's at Alpha Centauri and move it to Earth, to be honest. So that's definitely what we're going to be doing when it comes time. Unrest increased, and we have it's a raider. Okay. Raider has popped up at Alpha Centauri. It has been picked up by, presumably it's the STO that picked it up. So active's on. Oh, would it be that? That's something I can think of because it's definitely not going to be picked up by passives. Oh no, it would be. Considering when you picked it up, though, it looks like it would be the signature 100 that picked it up with the 59 million range. You guys. Hostile ship active in system. I'm going to set a rendezvous point. Here. call it run away, because it works. Move to closest rendezvous point if hostile ship contact in system, and, well, there is one. We found one. So it is coming. Which one is this? 4th STO, what are you set to? You are set to target random ship. There's only one ship, so it's fine. I don't know what your range is off the top of my head. Not until they're right on top of you, because it's a 120-kilometer range. Okay, they came in. Let's see, so hostile ship contact. It's not moving anymore. Chance to hit 93%, fired 6 shots. We got, looks like 36 hits, not bad. 19 hit the armor, 17 penetrated. Did not finish him off though. 5 more. They landed. Or no, did they oh no, they attacked it. Yes, okay, so they actually fired off their weapons. We lost one of our STOs. It's not that bad. Unless I'm reading this wrong. You guys still exist. You just lost one STO. We'll have to correct that, but that shouldn't be too big of an issue. Actives off. Grab the salvage fleet. Tell them to go to Alpha Centauri. Rex, go ahead. Salvage the wreck. Head back to Earth. Okay, now, obviously if I wanted to deal with that, that means I have to... This is the way this game works when it comes to reinforcing a ground unit. Unlike, something like Stellaris or many other games where it just sort of will happen naturally, that's not the way it works here. If I want to reinforce the STO team at Alpha Centauri A2, I have to build a new STO team, move them over there, have this new one that I've built marked as reinforcements. What is it specifically labeled as? God, I keep hitting the wrong button. Use for replacements. Or I build a formation of just a single WG6 Lucifer STO and move it over there and have it marked as used for replacements. Reinforcing units in this game is an annoying system, in my opinion. What I would love would just go back to just having the stuff work. I say go back. Just having the nice, normal system of just have the stuff happen naturally over time. Because it is a lot of micromanagement, and I don't think it really adds in any way needing to micromanage reinforcing. And of course, this leaves me now, that would leave me with an STO unit that has, or an STO team that has less than its full complement. So there's not much of a reason to do it. So what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to build a new STO team. I'm going to move them to Alpha Centauri A2, and they're just going to have 2 STO teams. One of them is slightly damaged. We're not going to bother with reinforcing in this particular case, because I don't think it's really worth it. I think it's a lot of extra work for just no real gain in this case. First medical group finished its orders. Annoyingly, however, telling you to do that did result in you canceling entirely your orders, which is annoying. Now I need to tell you to redo your stuff because it completely cancels your orders and doesn't seem to have you return. Yeah. Very annoying. So, Soul, or no, not Soul, here. Load all minerals. Go back to Soul, Earth. Unload all minerals. Refuel, resupply. Cycle orders. Oh, whoops, no, that actually doesn't work. Can't tell you to cycle your orders just yet, because I need to tell you to come back. Otherwise, you will not come back and then be confused, saying, I can't load the minerals at Alpha Centauri A2 because I'm not in the system. Okay, salvage fleet completed its orders. What did you get, out of curiosity? Nothing. Oh, wait. Well, yeah, no. No, nothing particularly useful. So, unload ship components, unload minerals. Done. If I recall correctly, I think at this point, none of this stuff is particularly useful for us, so we're just going to scrap it all. Patera Ironworks has finally finished its order. I want you to add another slipway, however. We have unrest on Mars. It's not changing significantly. So we'll just sort of leave it be. Did the cargo fleet finish its orders? That's the problem, isn't it? Yes, it did. We are attempting to help you out when it comes to, rejigging the environment. You are a tundra. It's a wonderful environment, is it not? Here we go. Your maximum temperature has gone up here at Luna. It's now 23 as opposed to 32 the last time we looked. It still has a ways to go, however, to get to an adequate temperature. But it's doing better. I think researching that colony cost thing, however, just helped. Yes, it helped a decent amount with Mars. It's no longer going to complain for a little bit longer. So we get a bit of a break from Mars complaining about being overcrowded. We could research that again. Technically it's helpful, but it's kind of expensive now at 40,000 research cost. I'll do research rate it for 40,000, definitely. That's nice. We'll have William Griffin work on that. That'll be done September of some year, September of basically 4 years from now, presumably. Let's go ahead, and I think we will start researching. Well, let's continue getting better planetary sensors. I want to be able to pick up those raiders from further away, so we have more time to react. And the Carl Gustav Emil Mannerheim 1 has been completed. Nina Martin has been given command of it. Yes, they don't get a, diplomatic officer put on these ships. Now, I don't actually have a command for these guys. So they're just gonna, right now, go under the logistics command. Because I kind of sort of forgot to, design or, set up a diplomacy command or something like that. But it's, I should probably, what, screw it. It doesn't take that long to set up a command. It is a general command because I do not believe there's any benefits anywhere else here for this. So it's just going to be a general command, create admin. Call it diplomatic command. Plop you there. Apparently they need a rear admiral, lower level, which does not make any sense whatsoever. But for some reason they need a rear admiral lower half. You do you, game. I don't think that's true. At all. But you do you. I happen to have somebody who's capable of filling the role, so it's fine. However, now I need a Vice Admiral for Terran Republic Fleet Forces Command. And that means you need to be promoted to a Rear Admiral upper half. Commander still works there. Rear Admiral, Commander, Commander. Rest of these are all fine. You do not have somebody now for some reason. Now, double check. I don't have any free commands, right, game? There shouldn't be. Correct, there are no fleet commands. For some reason, the TRS Acri does not currently have somebody in charge of it. And I don't know why. I'm assuming who was there just got transferred out, I'm guessing. That would be the most logical conclusion, so we'll leave that be. We're going to go ahead and tell you to make your way to Bernard Star, Epsilon Arendi, Psi Libre, or not Psi, Pi Libre. And by the time you get there, yep, they should be done with that. And you have arrived. Now, the question is, how good are your sensors? 26 million on those. So I need you to go to Pi Libre 1. But I don't want you to approach too close, because I don't want you to get shot. Thing is, I don't know what the range is on those, presumably STOs that were there, that shot at us. So, go to Pi Libre 1, follow, and we will set a minimum distance, let's say 5 million kilometers. Initially, we will adjust that value if necessary. Thing is, when it comes to diplomacy, you need to have detections from both sides. That's just how it works. So again, there's no if there were enemy ship, or if they had ships or stations here, we would have likely picked it up by now. They are well enough in range, I want to say, that if they existed, we would have likely picked them up. So 5 million seems still a little too far away. Okay, follow. Let's do 3 million. Still a little too far away. Okay, then. 1 million. There we go. And yes, they have an STO there. Signature seems to indicate it's apparently 200 tons. But they do not detect us, so we cannot react. Now, I do not know off the top of my head what the range of a S2R1 sensor is. So we're going to have to try to finagle ourselves a similar style of weapons capability. It looks to be about, let's see. Yeah, this is the fun of this. So, because I don't know their exact tech level, it's a little bit harder to tell what the range is. But, so the thing is, their guns shouldn't have too significant of range. So we're gonna, again, slowly approach. We will do 800 kilometers. But they still don't seem to pick us up. Presumably because we're not communicating at all. They had picked us up, we would be getting notifications here. Oh, here we go. There we go. Now we are. Did I not set you guys to follow? No, I did. Okay. Let's see. Oh, so the ice sheet has melted on Luna. Temperatures increased from 28 degrees Celsius to 23.9. That's helpful. Communication attempts with the Pi Libre aliens number 411 are stalled as they are refusing to exchange information. It's realistically kind of what I expected would be the case. But we can keep that diplomacy ship there basically indefinitely because it's got ludicrous amounts of fuel. Luna should have a much larger population now. Yeah, it has support for up to 32 million now all of a sudden. And all because it has become cooler. Or not cooler, but hotter, rather. God damn it, why do you keep going to Alpha Centauri to refuel? Is there any way I can tell Alpha Centauri to not be a refueling station? I don't think I can. It's honestly kind of annoying. that you go to Alpha Centauri for refueling, just because it's technically closer. But you know what? You need to do a overhaul anyway. So come here, begin overhaul, refuel, resupply. We have gotten the fusion reactor. Wonderful. That'll help us significantly when it comes to researching, or not researching, but designing a new missile. So update that. Actually, if we look at this, current missile would be this, with the current specs I have provided in for what I want. Optimizing it, suddenly speed jumps up to 78,000 kilometers a second. Although I think I might have forgotten to tell it to optimize after I swapped out the engine, so yeah, that's probably one of the things really contributing it to it, but nonetheless. Because all missiles need to have a power plant on them. So having a better one can be beneficial, though it looks like in this case it's not actually making a real difference. Which is slightly surprising, actually, how little of a difference it's making. Or maybe that's only for things that have sensors. And since this is just a dumbfire missile. Oops, forgot to set up the labs. This part has actually gone a bit long, so we're going to be ending it in just a moment. Just wanted to go ahead and get our guys in position to start attempting, at least, to establish communications, though it seems somewhat unlikely that they will succeed unless we get a sudden breakthrough. But we can hang around there for a little while. It's unlikely I'm going to have to deal with anything. Do I go for the better? No, let's get more fuel efficiency. Why not? Never hurts to be more fuel efficient. We're just going to end it here. So that's going to be it for this part. I will see you all next time, where we will be still continuing to attempt, at the very least, if, nothing else, to establish communications. I've never had this succeed, if I'm being honest. Basically, we are attempting to establish, we're saying, hey guys, you want to talk? And they're just telling us no, or ignoring us. I think it's literally just a roll of the dice, basically. If they're open to it, it helps. You have a much easier roll, basically. But if they're refusing to attempt communications, I think it's a much harder roll to succeed. And the reality is, even though we have somebody here in charge who has a 30% diplomacy, and then a rear admiral above him with a 20%, presumably providing a bonus, I would think, but I could certainly be wrong about that. Also, I think it's technically the system is outside of range, so he may or may not actually be getting the bonus anyway. Or, giving the bonus to this, whoever is in charge here. Who is it? Nina Martin. Nina Martin may or may not actually be getting the bonus because she's too far away from diplomatic command, which is presumably based out of Earth. If I were to build naval HQs elsewhere, that would, in theory, extend our range, I think. But I could be wrong about exactly how that works. But yeah, he's not. I don't think he's providing the bonus, so. And I don't even know if he provides a bonus, if I'm being honest. I would imagine they would, but could certainly be wrong about that. So we'll see. Next time we will continue to attempt to establish communications. Maybe we get lucky. We're basically going to bug the shit out of them until either they say yes or we eventually say, fine, screw it, we're just going to invade you then. But between parts, I'm going to go ahead and redo designs for refits of our current crop of military vessels, including our fighters, and I'll show them off next time. But until then, quick reminder, if you want to stay up to date with the channel and what's going on with it, I would highly recommend you join the Discord server. You can find a link to that down in the description. If you want to support the channel financially because you find yourself enjoying this series or any of the other series on the channel that I've already done in the past, then you can support the channel either via Patreon or Streamlabs. Patreon is generally intended for monthly, consistent support. But theoretically, you can use it for one time. It's just not intended for that. But if you go that route, you do get some rewards. You get some goodies, such as early access to videos. While if you go the Streamlabs route, you don't get any goodies, but individually. The math, unless I'm way off on my math, the math works out that individually, support via Streamlabs is better. But if there's a bunch of people supporting the channel consistently on a monthly basis, Patreon ends up being the better strategy. But Streamlabs is an option. Nonetheless, they're more so for one-offs, but it does support monthly. But I'll see you all next time. Until then, goodbye and farewell.